With the worldwide launch of Starfield already behind us, let's take a look at the good, bad, and the ugly of Starfield. Hey there, Explorer, I am Doodleman149 again, and today I'll be taking you on a guided journey through the entirety of Starfield's launch and give you what I see as the positives of the game, the things that could be better, and any ugliness that surrounds the game outside of the game. So, let's hop into this. The good. Let's start off with the positives, shall we? By the time this video comes out, I'll have roughly 15 hours in the game, so right off the bat, I've played more than many outlets that have actually reviewed the game. During that time, I've noticed a large number of things that I really like about it. The first thing that comes to mind is just how good the game looks. While granted, I'm on an Xbox Series S, so I can already hear people storming the comments section complaining about frame rates and how the Series S holds games back, yeah. But that doesn't mean this game still doesn't look great for me. It doesn't go for photorealism and very much feels like a visually upgraded version of Skyrim and Fallout 4. The next thing that was positive for me is just how the story starts. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but the first bit of gameplay really makes you feel like an everyman in this universe before thrusting you to the forefront. The next praise I'd like to offer is the vast amount of things to get sunk into. I didn't get too far in the story as I wanted to go see what Earth was up to, and spoilers, it isn't good. From there, I've been sidetracked all the time with a plethora of side options and quests and exploration, and there is just so much to do that it can actually be overwhelming at first, but it really lets you do what you want to do for the most part. The next point might be a contentious one, but I really like how huge the maps are. People complain about the planets being broken up into chunks that you have to fly to. However, on Mars, I ran to far-off locations for missions and I never hit the barrier of the play space. If all the areas on planets are as large as this, then there's really no weight to the criticism of planet exploration not being seamless. The gunplay is also very solid for me. Enemies can be a little bullet spongy, but all the weapons I've used so far have felt solid and melee combat is enjoyable as well. The introduction of a jump pack also adds some verticality and tactical options to an otherwise straightforward gunfight. Character customization is also plenty in depth. I'd argue it's on par with Fallout 4 and Skyrim, with even more options in some areas. On top of that, there are different backgrounds you can choose from that affect your starting skills along with traits to make your character truly unique in how you want to play. The inclusion of photo mode is also a great thing to include as the game again looks great and it'll offer me a ton of variety when it comes to making cool looking thumbnails. The ability to build returns from Fallout 4, and the extensive ship customization is something I could see myself really getting into further down the line once I can actually afford other ships. The voice acting is really good as well. There's a variety of voice actors doing different voices, and the AI used to make the expressions on the characters' faces when they speak helps add more life to the character interactions than there have been in previous Bethesda titles. There's a large amount of facial movements that all combine to make for a far more enjoyable communication aspect to the game. And the last thing I really like about Starfield is the encumbrance system. You can still get over encumbered with loot, but instead of slowing you down to a snail's pace or stopping you entirely, you instead use energy every time you run. You still can't fast travel, but at least this way I know I can take as much loot as I want so long as I'm fine with the slower pace back to base. The bad. Next up, there are of course some things that don't work out so well. I'm going to go back to the good and pull some stuff right from there right off the bat. While the AI facial expressions do improve the interactions with NPCs, there's definitely an uncanny valley feeling when looking at it for too long, so it can be a little uncomfortable at times. On top of that, the vast amount of things to do can also be overwhelming, but that's just something to get used to, but I figured I'd mention that the amount of activities is both a good and a slightly bad thing. The first legitimate problem I have with the game, at least at this point, is the space combat. I do enjoy that there's a sort of rock, paper, scissors to space battles where lasers drain shields and missiles destroy ships. I also really enjoy allocating power to different systems on the fly, but the space fights are also so disorienting. Space flights in general is a little bit too flight simulator for me, and while I can see myself coming to get better at it and enjoy it, as of now I avoid space fights if I can. The other gripe I have is that given the massive size of the maps, most notably at this point the surface of Mars, I wish there was some sort of land vehicle to use to traverse the open spaces more quickly. As of now, my only option is running everywhere, which can kill a ton of time, which, if you're encumbered, can take even longer. My final bad point of the game is that the menu is a little obtuse. In order to access a local area map, you need to enter scan mode and then press RB. Accessing your inventory is also a little clunky, and it took me until I was level 6 to realize I didn't know where my skill points were since there wasn't an indicator in the menu to where I needed to go to actually allocate these. Once I found it, doing so was easy, but the menu by itself just isn't great. The ugly. Now let's address the ugly. This, in case you haven't seen any of my other good, bad, and ugly videos, does not refer to things that are cosmetically or superficially unattractive. Instead, the ugly refers to nonsense that occurs in reality in regards to the game. First off, there's the console warriors. Whether you support Xbox or PlayStation, there is no reason to disrespect a game and those who enjoy it simply because they're on a different system. In this case, Sony fans are all up in arms looking for any way to justify their delusion that this game is terrible. There are also game review outlets that rank it lower simply because it's an exclusive, despite that having no effect on the game itself, and there are others who give this massive game a final review after 5 hours of play. It's all politics, and that is the last thing the gaming community needs right now. On the flip side, there's also people in the Xbox team who look past any and all flaws of the game. I really enjoy this game, I think it's top tier, but as you've already heard, Explorer, there are things I do not like in it. Both sides are wrong, and both sides need to stop their bullshit. To address a specific criticism of the game, many people complain that it isn't like No Man's Sky, where you can seamlessly fly to a planet's surface from orbit. I felt I needed to address this because it's a bit bizarre. No Man's Sky is a space exploration survival game. Starfield is an RPG set in space. They aren't the same genre, so it's literally apples to oranges. On top of that, most of the criticisms of the gameplay I see is in regards to what the game isn't, instead of focusing on what it actually is. It's almost akin to someone criticizing Call of Duty because it isn't a city building simulator. Do you see how ridiculous that sounds? If people focus more on what was actually on offer, I'm sure they'd enjoy the game more. And so that is all today, Explorers. Did you enjoy my take on the good, the bad, and the ugly of Starfield? Was there anything I missed in any of the categories? If I did, or if you just want to chat about the game, then shoot me a comment down below. I hope you're all enjoying the game so far, and I hope it's everything you wanted it to be. So with that, be sure to keep your eye out for any future Starfield content from me, and like and subscribe for more. I've been your guide, Doodleman149, and I'll see you again, sometime, somewhere, amongst the stars.